In this video, we will learn the basic concepts of parameterization in the user section mode. So we are having 4 options over there, starting from the reference line, and next we are having dimension line options. Following that we are having constraints, and at the last we are having option for parameter definition and the linkage option. So these are the 4 options which are available under the parametric tools group under the user section mode. Let's go to the user section mode of CIM. So currently we are in the point library mode of CIM. We will go to the base ribbon, we'll go to the user section drop down menu, and we'll click on the create option. Let's assign the name as parameterized section. We'll click on enter user section mode. So we are in the user section mode under the point library mode. So over here under the user section ribbon, you can find the group called parametric tools, under which we are having 5 options starting with reference line, dimension, constraints, parameter definition, and the linkage option. And at the last we are having vertex group. So let's clear the vertex group first. So if you are having any user section which shall follow the super elevation assigned in the layout, you can define the vertex group for the super elevation. Similarly, we can go for the guide path definition, or you can say guide path vertex group for the user section using the variation by guide wire option. You can define the master vertex and dependency vertices of the user section using this table. Currently we are not looking into that part, so we'll close it. So first of all, there are 4 options and we are looking for these options only. So first of all, let us create the user section. We will create a sample user section for our explanation. We'll click on add. So over here we are having a sample user section of the rectangle. Now let's talk about reference line first. So what is the reference line? So reference line creates a reference vertex and the reference edge both at the same time at a defined location. Currently we are in the XY plane, so it will be located in the XY direction. So you can see under the origin point, wherever I am placing the mouse, automatically the origin point coordinates are getting changed. Once let's say I am placing it over here and I want to change the reference point vertex from here to here at the datum location. So I'll just change the coordinates from 0 to 0, and in the Y direction I'll change coordinate to 0 as well, so I can go to the datum location. Similarly, if your reference line is having any rotation, you can provide it over here. You can go with the angle of like 135 degree, 45 degrees, 90 degrees as well. And if you don't know the angle, it is in some points or something like that, 23.135 degrees. So what you can do, you can use this direction vector options. Using the first mouse click, you will defining the base point, and using the second click you will be defining the direction vector. So automatically it will calculate the angle like 23.1986 degree, and if you now place the reference line, it will automatically calculate the angle which is mentioned over here. You can go for the 90 degree and the 45 degree angles as well. So now what is the use of this reference line? So using the reference line, it is very easy to define the dimension lines as well as to define the constraints. So we can have a better control over our user section, and using this reference line we can achieve it easily. So now let's change the angle to the 0, and we'll place the reference line at the origin location. Now we'll click on the blue plus button. Now at the top there is another option called offset. If we go over there, it will ask for selecting the reference line. Once you click over it and select a reference line, then it will ask for offset distance. According to your requirement, if you know where the offset shall be provided, you can directly assign the offsets, like I want the reference line at 1200 millimeters in the downward direction, so it will automatically create a reference line over here. Now if I place negative sign, so it will create the reference line at the top of the user section. So using this offset option, we can create multiple offset lines, like if I want to go with the two reference line at the distance of 200 millimeters, so it will create two reference line at the distance of 200 millimeters each. Now let's click on the cross button. Following the reference line, we are having an option for the dimension lines. So with the help of reference lines and the edge and the vertices of the user section, we can easily define the dimension lines for the user section. And for that, we are having 5 dimension options over there. First one is horizontal, where you can define horizontal dimensions, and using the vertical option, you can go with the vertical dimension options. Next, it is aligned option. If you are having an inclined edge, or if you are having any parallel edges and you want to assign a parameter, or you can say the dimension line between the parallel edges, you can use the aligned option. At the second last, we are having the radial option, using which we can go for the arc and the circular type of section definition. At the last, we are having angular dimension. This angular dimension can be used for defining angle between the two edges. We'll close this option now. And now there is another option called constraint. So using this constraint option, we can control the user section as per our requirement. So let's say first option is fixed. So I can fix any particular vertex at its location. So whatever the condition changes in the parameters, this point won't replace its original location. It will be located at this location always. Similarly, if I want this line to always be in horizontal, so using this horizontal constraint, we can achieve that. And using the vertical constraint, we can say the program that this line or this edge of the user section shall always be in the vertical direction. It won't change its angle. Next, there is an option called parallel and the perpendicular. So using the parallel, we can say the program that these two lines shall always be parallel to each other, and these two edges shall always be in perpendicular case. The angle between these two edges shall not be less than or greater than 90 degree. It will always be 90 degree in every case. Next, there is a tangent constraint, which is quite useful for defining the circular sections. Next, it is the collinear constraint. Using the collinear constraint option, we can say the program that this reference line and this horizontal edge shall always be collinear with each other, shall always be together with each other. And similarly, using the coincident option, we can tell the program that this reference line and this vertices at the end of this edge shall always be together, shall always be coinciding with each other. So using the coincident and collinear option, we can tell the program that the edges or the vertices shall always be together with the reference line location. Wherever the reference line gets shifted, it should update its location. Now let's close this option. Now at the last, we are remaining with the parameter edit option and the linkage option. So first let's see about the parameter edit option. If you click over it, a menu panel shall appear on the model window, where you can see there are two sections. One is base parameter and another one is constraint parameter. Under the base parameter, there is a column for type, in which you can define 3 types of dimension parameters. First one is length, where you can go with the positive integer values like plus 5.356 meters. And next, it is the angular parameter, where you can define the angular parameters like 90 degrees, 45 degrees, 23.198 degrees, etc. And at the last, we are having the coordinate option, in which you can go for the positive as well as for the negative values. If you are going to parameterize and the entire point library geometry, so the coordinate option is very useful over there. We can define the parameter name and the variable name. This variable name shall be helpful for defining the equations under the constraint parameter. we can define the length, angle and coordinate dimension as per the type of the parameter selected. Once the base parameters are defined, and if you want that according to the base parameter there shall be some calculations in the constraint parameters, so you can go with the constraint parameters as well, where you can define all of these three type of parameters. You can assign the parameter name, and if you check on this functional option, you will be able to put the equations using this variable name under the base parameter. So let's say I am having a length A and length B, and I don't want to calculate every time manually. So what I'll do, I'll just put the length parameter over here. We'll assign the length as A, variable name as small a, and we'll put the length as 2500 millimeters. Same way, I'll put the length B, assign the variable name as small b, and I'll assign the length as 1500. So what you can do, you can go to the constraint parameter. You can define the type of parameter as per the requirement. I will place the parameter name as total length. We'll check on this functional option so that I can put the equation. Using these variable names, I will just assign small a plus small b, and we'll hit the enter key. So automatically it will calculate the parameter a plus b, which is equal to 4000, and whatever dimensions you are going to change, it would get updated under the constraint parameters. So using the base parameter and constraint parameter, you can define the parameters, but you are not dealing with the user sections yet. So we have defined the constraint points and the dimension lines earlier. So what we'll do, we will link those dimension lines and the parameters which we have defined under the base parameter and the constraint parameter options. The table shall appear over here. Under the target name, we will be seeing the dimension lines over here. If you are having any vertical, let me assign the dimension over here. For an example, I am assigning the horizontal dimension. So it is having name h1. Now if I go to the parameter edit option, I am assigning the length, let's say h1. I don't need any variable name, and I'll assign the value as 700 millimeters. Click on green tick. Now if I go to the parameter link option, so I have defined h1 parameter in the edit parameter option, and also I have the h1 dimension line. So what I'll do, I am having h1 as the target. For the convenience, we can link the dimension line with the parameters, as we are currently linking the h1 dimension line with the h1 parameter. And we'll click on the green tick. So you can see the dimension line got updated from the gray color to the orange color, which indicates that the parameterization is completed. But currently we have not assigned any constraints or any other dimension lines to fully regulate the user section. So in this video, we have covered all of these 4 options, including the vertex group as well, for the parameterization of the user section.